So this is why I think the media is such a problem. You know, the media has become less powerful the more they've lied, and they've had to lie more and more as it once again becomes clear that leftism doesn't work. But what the media does by siding with one side, and when I say the media, I mean the networks, I mean the New York Times, I mean the Washington Post, I mean all that echo chamber of what they call mainstream news. It's only mainstream news in the elite world, but still, it's lost some power, but it still creates this narrative, this powerful narrative that there is only one side, that there is only one right side. It actually hurts the process that is America, that is freedom, because that's what they're trying to get rid of. They're trying to demonize it. They're trying to arrest people, criminalize anybody who takes that point of view, calling them fascist. And yeah, in politics, people call each other, you're a fascist, you're a communist. But when you have the media on your side, when you have the academy on your side, when you have Hollywood on your side, it just becomes an unfair fight. And that's the thing. I would be willing to sit down with anybody in the middle left and have that debate and have a debate and maybe reach a compromise. But you can't do that when he is wrapped up by that media telling him that there's only one side. There was a moment this week that it was hilarious, but it also was pitifully sad. The Biden administration decided to throw a jamboree. They were going to have a celebration. It was celebration time. They were going to have a big party celebrating the Inflation Reduction Act, which even the CBO says is not going to do anything about it. The Congressional Budget Office says, and they're a nonpartisan group, they say it's not going to do anything to change inflation. It might over time, but as you know, there is no time in government. There's no future in the government because the government will spend more stuff and already has because they've forgiven student loans, which is going to cost $600 billion or something like that. So that any inflation reduction that's gone away. Because let's remember where inflation comes from. Here is the Milton Friedman, still the greatest economist we've ever had, the immortal Milton Friedman explaining where inflation comes from and why. Cut 6.
Inflation is made in Washington because only Washington can create money. And any other attribution to other groups of inflation is wrong. Consumers don't produce it. Producers don't produce it. The trade unions don't produce it. Foreign sheiks don't produce it. Oil imports don't produce it. What produces it is too much government spending and too much government creation of money and nothing else.
That's it. That is the truth, because the government doesn't make anything. See, when Jeff Bezos, you may not like him, but when he builds a business, he creates wealth. So if you print more money to keep up with Jeff Bezos, you're not printing empty money. But the government doesn't create anything, not one thing. It subsidizes things. It messes up markets. It raises prices. When it subsidizes an electric car, the price of the electric car goes up. You're not getting any of that money. That money is going right to the richest people in the world who make those electric cars. That government money that they give to you, they give you $100. I'm making that up. It's a lot more. They give you $100 to buy an electric car. The electric car company raises their prices $100. That's how they screw up the market. Everything they do increases inflation. So there they are, celebrating the Inflation Non-Reduction Act. They've got James Taylor singing Fire and Rain, which is about suicide, so that makes a little bit of sense. And then Pelosi, in her effusive way, is cut 2.
Mr. President, thank you for unifying and inspiring a vision of a stronger, fairer, safer future for all, for our children. Your extraordinary leadership has made this glorious day possible. That's an applause line.
That's please clap. Please clap. That's an applause line. You didn't know because nobody's listening to him anyway. While they're doing this, the market crashes. Why does the market crash? Because the new inflation numbers have come up and they're enormous. They're the same. They're worse a little bit than they've always been. CNN quickly cuts away. Here's cut 3.
So I thank the Republicans who stood up.
Okay, you're listening there to President Biden at the White House. He's celebrating the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. He says that he's been fighting Big Pharma for decades. But there is this unfortunate split screen right now with the Dow taking a total beating, down more than 1,200 points. And so it feels like it's hard to be celebratory for some people in the crowd.
But the reason you don't want to mention why that's happening is because inflation is up. That's why the Dow is crashing. I like the way that ABC and CBS reported it. You have to listen carefully to hear because, the networks are a little bit more honest than the cable stations, but they still have this one tick. I'll let you see if you detect it. Cut 4.
He is stressing that inflation is relatively flat, up just 1/10 of a point since July, and he argues the economy is strong, pointing to low unemployment numbers and plunging gas prices. The president is also touting Democrats' new Inflation Reduction Act. He's promising it will do just that it will bring down energy and prescription drug costs. But, George, it was notable that at a big celebration here at the White House yesterday, the president largely ignored these worse-than-expected numbers. Look, the White House is well aware that inflation is a big potential political liability. With the midterms now just 8 weeks away, the economy is top of mind for voters. And while the president is confident that he can turn this around, the White House does admit there is still a lot more work to be done here.
Yes, this
George.
has been the toughest issue for the White House.
The president cannot be happy about any of it. Good morning.
No, he cannot. Tony, good morning. That inflation report dashes hopes of a quicker economic rebound.
Government figures show groceries climbing more than 13% on average, electricity spiking nearly 16%, and rent up nearly 7% over the last year.
So if you listen carefully, they're telling the story from Biden's point of view, not from yours. Biden is confident. It's a problem for him. But he's confident, and it's only 1/10%, which isn't true. I mean, families in August spent 23.8% more for energy than last year, 6.2% more for shelter, 11.4% more for food, which means their wages, any wage increase they get, any help they get from the government is just wasted money. It's just burning it off because the money they get from the government is increasing the inflation. So it's like a tax on everybody. So hilarious because the press is not reporting reality. They're reporting the mind of the president. It's a problem across the board. I mean, this thing at the border, which is making me laugh, but it's not really all that funny. Abbott in Texas, Governor Abbott in Texas and DeSantis in Florida are shipping illegals into blue enclaves like Martha's Vineyard, right? And suddenly, what a terrible thing this is. Here, I could have picked 100 clips, but I just picked this one. Commentator Fernand Amandi has cut 28 from MSNBC.
That is an act of evil, and it is an act of evil being done by evil men who are using children and good faith parents coming to this country, the land of the free and opportunity, like my parents did and grandparents did, and shaming them for political points. In the most cynical calculation, Stephanie, what's going on here is they're trying to change the conversation from the Dobbs decision overturning Roe versus Wade and making it about immigration. But it is the most cynical, cheap, and evil tactic. And I don't think it's going to play here in Florida. I think Ron DeSantis overreached this time.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet now. So for years now, the left did everything they could to stymie Donald Trump's attempts to build a wall, to put any kind of security in there. They've been doing this for years. They now have we have virtually open borders. Everyone will tell you this. Anyone who's down there will tell you this. They're flooding into the border states, so the border states are shipping them out. Now, all this time, the Biden administration has been secretly flying them out in the dead of night to enclaves that they think are red enclaves that they can turn blue by shipping in illegals, basically, because they think that they're all going to go blue, which I think is a miscalculation. But all the same, that's been their ideas. So now the border states start to strike back by shipping these people to places like Martha Vineyards. They sent some outside. Was it Pelosi's house? It was one of the left's house. They're shipping them into New York, into Chicago, and suddenly this is evil. It's evil to use these people for political gain. It's evil to do that. It is so hilarious. It is so hilarious. It even makes me wonder if some Democrats aren't going, the Democrats, it's what they basically say is, well, yes, these people are lying about all this, but Trump, they always sound like the Oompa Loompa people from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Trump. But first of all, the logic of that is that our people are as bad as the most evil human being who ever existed, because they think Trump is the most evil human being who ever existed. But it never occurs to them to take the next step and say, maybe the people lying to us about immigration are also lying to us about inflation, crime, and Donald Trump, and at least the Republican Party, and whether they're full of fascists and white supremacists or not. Because this is the other thing. They're doing their best to criminalize the right, to say that they're fascist. Last week, they issued something like 40 subpoenas for people who might have had an opinion about the election. Somebody who might have walked by the Capitol on January 6th or turned on the TV. Mike Lindell was basically had his cell phone taken away. Here's Lindell explain. This is the My Pillow guy.
The FBI, you're going to hear this, and you're probably already hearing it in the news. The FBI came after me and took my phone. They surrounded me at a Hardee's and took my phone that I run all my business, everything with. They could have just, what they've done is weaponize the FBI. It's disgusting. I don't have a computer. Everything I do have that phone, everything was on there. And they told me not to tell anybody. Here's an order, don't tell anybody. Okay, I won't. Well, I am.
I kind of like that one. They told me not to tell anybody, so I won't. Anyway, now they've been doing this. They've got a special master to look at. They've appointed this retired judge, Raymond Deary, who has got respect on both sides. The Trump people seem to respect him as much as the DOJ. DOJ is still appealing this, trying to get the special master, this guy who's going to take theoretically a non-biased look at the documents that the FBI took from Mar-a-Lago. But that's not the thing. The thing is not that they took documents from Mar-a-Lago. It's not even whether Donald Trump did something wrong by taking the documents to Mar-a-Lago. It's the difference, obviously, between the way Hillary Clinton was treated and by the way Trump is treated, and not just by the FBI, whose the FBI has obviously got some corruption going on at its highest levels because we've caught them in their emails. We've caught them lying to the FISA courts in order to bug American citizens, the phones of American citizens. We caught them, sending the Steele documents, the Steele dossier, investigating that long after they knew that it was phony. But it's not. It's the press. It is the press. If the press is exposing everybody, if it's saying, yeah, they lied about Trump and they've lied about Hillary and they've done this with Hillary, if they're exposing everybody, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them attacking. They should attack everybody in power. Anybody with power, they should be down his throat. But listen to the way, and this is from our friends at Newsbusters, at MRC Newsbusters, listen to the way they reported Hillary's cell phone server, which had all kinds of classified information on it, Cut 9.
I don't think it's a big legal problem.
The American people don't care about this.
I have been utterly bored with the story.
There's going to be a cloud of suspicion, though, by those who just want to see conspiracy. There's almost no way she can clear this up to the satisfaction of critics on the other side in terms of the politics of this.
It's not even a scandal. It's really controversy. The scandal's the Republicans' word for it.
At this point, it's all just background noise.
There is, in some ways, no there there.
And voters don't seem to care about it, according to polls.
147 FBI agents are focused on this. I mean, don't they have other problems? There's no crime in the country they should be worrying about.
So how is she going to overcome these distractions?
All right, so it's all from her point of view, and the board voters. Here's how they cover Trump. Cut 8.
Could some of the boxes recovered from the former president have put national security and perhaps lives at risk?
This is as bad as it gets.
It really does send chills up the spine of anybody who's ever worked at CIA.
When you have this kind of information, you guard them with your life.
And that's, it's a serious problem. It's funny because they're so dishonest and corrupt, and they look in the, I don't know, it seems to me if you put on a tie and jacket and you look into a camera, you ought to at least have some respect for honesty. When I sit down and write, I always think, what is the point of putting words down on paper if you don't mean them? The thing is, there are certain things professions that I call meta professions. One of them is what I do as being an artist. When you write a novel, you step out of your own opinions. You step out of your own opinions and create the world as it is, a world of tensions, a world of conflicting ideas, a world where two people can see things totally differently and both be kind of right about something or both have a point of view. That's a meta way of looking at the world. That's the way the journalists are meant to look at the world. That's the way they're supposed to. But they have stopped. And they have stopped because they're materialists. They've stopped because they do not believe that there is another level of meaning to the world. And when they do believe in another level of meaning, when they do believe in morality, they don't believe it applies to them. When they look at the poor, when they look at the underclass, they see people they can feel sorry for and dry their big tears for, but it doesn't occur to them that, maybe maybe they have to make some sacrifices. It's always like, oh, well, the environment is bad. You better ride on a pony or a bicycle while I fly my private jet to Davos to discuss how you can save energy. It's always like this. So it's, bring in those illegals because there's a lot of room in Texas. No room in my neighborhood. And no room in New York or Chicago. Martha's Vineyard, certainly not. What's wrong with you? This is a problem. It's the problem of forgetting that we are in a process, and it's the process that leads us forward. It is the press that has led the way in ignoring that process and creating a narrative in which that process doesn't exist, and it has been incredibly, incredibly damaging. If you want more great content, and you so do, like and subscribe, and also subscribe to the Andrew Klavan Podcast.